I'm Dave and this is Fiver, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now, my normal companion Logan is having a day off, so my young Fiver is joining me as a special guest today. Now today we're at the village of Compton in West Sussex. It's about 8 miles to the northwest of Chichester and 6 miles to the southeast of Petersfield in the South Downs National Park. The B2146 passes through it. And we're going to be doing a roughly 4-mile circular route, taking in the villages of Compton and West Marden and some glorious countryside, as well as checking out the legend that is known as Bevis's Thumb. Now, I'm filming at the end of April. It is a glorious spring day. The sun is out and the temperature is going to be perfect for a walk. So do come along with us. Well, I've parked my car in the Compton village and made my way up to the church, which is just behind me here. It's St Mary's Church, and there was a church here at the time of the Domesday Book in 1086, but the present building dates from around about the 12th century. And it comprises a chancel, nave with a south aisle, a north porch, north arcade and western bell turret with a brooch shingled spire. I think it's got 2 bells. There are several Norman features that still remain, including the chancel arch and north arcade, which is by the porch, which used to link to a north aisle that has since been demolished. The south arcade was built in the 13th century and the whole church possibly partly rebuilt in the 14th century. And then the church was largely rebuilt again in 1849 when the nave was lengthened. Well, the good news is I've found the light switch, so let's see how we get on inside. It's looking to the right. And the organ up on the wall on the left-hand side, I think that's fairly modern, well, 1970. And then just panning around, yes, you can see the remains of that Norman arch on the northern side that I was talking about earlier. And just slowly panning around, heading towards the altar. Rather magnificent pulpit there on the left. Beautiful stained glass window as well at the end. And then just panning round to the south. And the font there, which I believe is 15th century. And I love the top as well, almost like a pulley system. A lovely church. Okay, we'll have a little wander to the centre of the village. Very, very pretty. Many houses here are actually built of flint and brick, so typical of the Sussex area here. A lot of the houses were renovated in the 19th century. A few have got the initials GPH on them and dates between 1869 and 1879. I think that relates to a chap, Geoffrey Phipps Hornby, who, as well as being Admiral of the Fleet, owned the manor here, and his ashes are buried in the churchyard. Well, this is the sort of the centre of the village, the Coach and Horses pub, an old coaching inn which dates back to 1660. And then just in front of me here, this quite enchanting well, isn't that lovely? And then just panning around the village shop and tea room that will probably be our final destination. Well, this quite magnificent building on my right is Compton House, remodelled in the Regency period, the early 1800s, and it was home to the vicar in the late 19th century. And it's got walled gardens, something like an acre. Absolutely stunning, isn't it? Wow, look at this beautiful house here. Is that a display of bluebells in front? Looks quite magnificent in the sunshine. Look at that chimney as well. I'm just trying to make out what's that out? Is that a horse halfway up? Difficult to make out. Well, this is at the western end of the village. Quite a charming little village green. And the cottages on the other side, it's called Pond Cottage. And indeed, if you look at an 1896 map, there was once a pond where the green now is. Lovely bench there to sit in the morning sunshine. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little tour through the village. I certainly did. So we've now headed south and just by the old post office, and now we're going to take a footpath out into the countryside. It's definitely a day to make sure we've got plenty of water, that's for sure. Good boy. Oh, what a quite stunning view already. This is looking over to the sort of, where are we, northwest, I guess, with a crop that's certainly coming on. Quite glorious in the sunshine this morning. Well, this is definitely one of those fields where it's fairly obvious where the path goes. So we're heading southwards, heading towards West Hanger Wood, which I think has been used for pheasant rearing. To the northwest there are some woods, I don't think we're going to be able to see them, called the Jubilee Clump, that were planted to celebrate Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee in 1897. Now, actually, I wonder if that is the Jubilee Clump over there in the far distance that I was talking about earlier. I think it might be, looking at the map. Anyway, we're continuing on our journey on this footpath across the field and heading towards Bottom Copse. Well, just a quick update on the route, in case any of you are going to be following this later on. This is about far west as we're going, a place called Bottom Copse. So really walking along the valley. Just by me to my right, there's a quite gorgeous display of bluebells. Isn't that lovely? I say it's been a really good spring for bluebells in the south of England. It's really been noticeable on the walks that we've done over the last few weeks. We've now made it to West Marden. What a beautiful welcoming committee with this quite gorgeous cherry tree still in blossom. Well, another pretty little settlement. Look at this flint building here, the wisteria beginning to come out already. Isn't that beautiful? And oh, well, we've got to have a bit of thatch, haven't we? We're just making our way through the the main sort of street that goes through the village. That's West Marden Farm over there, which has got 16th century origins. And I believe it's part of it is now holiday lets. And this is the Victoria Inn. Now, an 1898 map shows it as being a beer house. And although I'd like to pop in there now, we've still got a bit of walking to do. Well, whilst North Marden, East Marden and Upper Marden all have their own church, West Marden doesn't. It used to have a chapel of ease many years ago, but that was demolished and there are no remains of it. It's quite odd because West Marden is the biggest of the Mardens, but the only one without a church. Anyway, we're now going to continue heading sort of eastwards, and we've got a bit of an uphill section. Whew. A little pit stop to get my breath back, but also to admire some quite incredible views. I've just got West Marden in the valley below behind me, and then just panning round. This is to the west. Oh, it's difficult to come up with words to describe some of these views. Some oilseed rape right on the very top of the brow of that hill. It's so peaceful up here. Right, we need to carry on heading uphill. While continuing our walk along a ridge with some magnificent views either side. Now just behind me here, perched on the top of the hill, is a house, Telegraph House. Well, a semaphore station was built here in 1821. It operated on the semaphore line from London to Portsmouth between 1822 and 1847. I think the next station up line is Beacon Hill, and the next station down line is at Camp Down at Portsdown Hill near Farlington. I think there were 15 stations in total. They were all worried about the French invasion. And I was reading, it was quite extraordinary how quickly they could relay a message through the system all the way from London to Portsmouth in a matter of minutes, although they did need a clear day. Well, we're now at the most northerly point of the route, and I'm just standing in front of something known as Bevis's Thumb. Now, if you get up close to it, you probably wouldn't give it another moment's notice unless you knew exactly what it was. It's a Neolithic long barrow named after a legendary local giant called Bevis, or sometimes Bevis of Hampton. The Hampton bit is thought to refer to Southampton, though Bevis is more often linked with Arundel, as that was the name of his horse, Hirondelle. Now, there's an old tale that tells us that Bevis worked as a warden at Arundel Castle, where in fact there's a tower named after him. And indeed, Bevis ate an ox washed down with 2 hogsheads of beer every week, and was said to be so tall that he could walk from Southampton to the Isle of Wight without getting his head wet. And the legend goes on to say that Bevis threw his sword from the parapet at Arundel Castle, and wherever it landed, that's where he would be buried. Anyway, apparently it landed here. Now, alternate versions of the story say the sword landed at Arundel Park, where there's a barrow called Bevis's tomb, or indeed near Havant, where there's a long barrow called Bevis's grave. And indeed, in Arundel Castle, you can see Bevis's broadsword, which measures 5 foot 9 inches. I hasten to add there's quite a few different versions of that story. Anyway, the burial mound here is an elongated barrow rather than the more common round barrows around these parts. It's 60 metres long and tapers from 16 metres at the western end to 9 metres at the eastern end, which has actually been cut through by a farm track, and it varies between 1.6 and 1.8 metres in height. And some excavations in 1980 found flint tools and animal bones in the ditch that actually outlines the barrow. And the ditch also contained charcoal, which carbon dated to between 2,500 to 2,700 BC. And the site has also been known as the past as Solomon's Thumb, possibly in an attempt to Christianise a pagan site. Well, we're now on the homeward leg, heading back into Compton. And just on my right here, a little bit of woodland that's called a gold mine plantation. So we'll keep our eyes peeled. Well, just as we're doing this last little section going downhill, coming down a ridge, and the valley behind me brings back some memories. It's a location of the Compton cross-country course. And about 20 odd years ago, when I had my old horse Beau, we used to do lots of cross countries, and we did a sponsored ride here, and I remember it really well because he had a super round, he went clear, and there was some lovely jumps on the course. I've put on a bit of weight since those days though. Well folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment. We're back at the Compton tea rooms for a cup of tea and some light refreshment. So until we meet again, thanks for watching, and cheerio. Yeah, do you want another sweetie? Oh, I'm looking forward to this. Here, you drop your sweetie. There you go.